Hello, you're watching VNA News and now headlines.
Meeting and parade marks the 70th anniversary of the August Revolution and National Day. Vietnam rakes in $106.3 billion from exports in the past 8 months of 2015. Viet Built International Exhibition 2015 kicks off in Ho Chi Minh City.
The 70th National Day of Vietnam was celebrated with a grand meeting and the largest ever parade in the country at Bulletin Square in Hanoi on September 2nd.
Prominent at the ceremony were Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng, State President Trương Tấn Sang, Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng, and President of the Vietnam Fatherland Front Central Committee Nguyễn Thiện Nhân. Many other leaders and former leaders of the party and state, foreign delegates, and people from all walks of life also attended the event. The meeting began with the lighting of a torch that was carried to the square from the nearby Ho Chi Minh Museum. A 21-round salute was then fired from cannons stationed at the Thăng Long Imperial Citadel during the flag saluting ceremony. In his opening speech, State President Trương Tấn Sang affirmed that the foundation of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam in 1945 was a glorious milestone in the nation's history of national building and defense, which marked the end of the colonial semi-feudal regime, turning Vietnam into an independent and free country. Over the last 70 years, the Vietnamese people have made great efforts and sacrifice to uphold the sacred vow at the Independence Declaration ceremony in 1945, in order to safeguard their independence and liberty. The President paid tribute to the late President Ho Chi Minh for leading the Vietnamese people to victory, and to millions of heroes who sacrificed their lives for the freedom and independence of the motherland. He stressed that Vietnam is currently getting not only huge opportunities to develop, but also challenges as international and regional situations keep shifting in an unexpected manner, especially in sovereignty issues. In such circumstances, President Sang called on the nation as a whole to foster patriotism and solidarity, and work together to overcome the challenges. After the President's speech, at least 30,000 troops and civilians marched through Bulletin Square, the same historic place where President Ho Chi Minh read the Declaration of Independence, announcing the establishment of a free and independent Vietnam following the victory of the August Revolution in 1945.
On this day 70 years ago, on behalf of the Provisional Revolutionary Government, President Ho Chi Minh read the Declaration of Independence, proclaiming Vietnam's independence and foundation of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, now the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. The statement manifests the internal aspiration of the Vietnamese people for independence and freedom. Containing just over 1,000 words, the declaration was the consolidation of late President Ho Chi Minh's experience, lessons learned from Vietnam's revolutionary history, and advanced cultural values of humanity. It was also the crystallization of traditional patriotism and the entire nation's aspiration for independence and freedom. The declaration put an end to the double yoke of domination by the French colonialists and the Japanese fascists, abolishing the feudal rules that had been the standard for thousands of years. It opened up a new era in Vietnam's history, an era of independence, freedom, and happiness.
For Vietnamese nationals, this document affirms the legal evidence of the human and national rights of Vietnam, proving that independence and freedom, national sovereignty, and the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are the sacred values that generations of Vietnamese people have struggled for.
At a workshop recently held to provide more insight into the values of the Declaration of Independence, participants stressed that it has made significant contributions to developing progressive ideologies for the mankind on human rights, or fundamental national rights. It also encouraged national liberation struggles all around the world. Therefore, the Declaration of Independence contained both national and global values, which reached far beyond its initial era. It was crystallized in his ideology throughout the Declaration, which was nothing is more precious than independence and liberty.
President Ho Chi Minh delivered the statement on human rights in 1945, but it wasn't until 1960 that the United Nations issued a resolution to render independence to several nations, affirming the legal and global value of the Declaration of Independence.
Over the last 7 decades, Vietnam and the world have witnessed profound changes in all areas. Yet, the Declaration of Independence still has its everlasting vitality and typicality, shedding the light for the Vietnamese people, especially the youth, on the way to building up and consolidating the independence, freedom, and happiness. The permanent mission of Vietnam to the United Nations hosted a banquet in New York on September the 1st to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the August Revolutionary and National Day. National Assembly Chairman Nguyen Sinh Hung presided over the event.
Speaking at the event, Chairman Nguyen Sinh Hung emphasized that 2015 is a special year for the UN and Vietnam, as both are celebrating the 70th anniversary of their establishment. He said the Vietnamese people are always grateful for the support and assistance from friends around the world, the UN and the Interparliamentary Union in the country's liberation and reunification cause, as well as in national construction and defense. On behalf of the guests, IPU President Saber Chahudi warmly congratulated the Vietnamese National Assembly and people on the grand day. He took this occasion to congratulate Vietnam on its socio-economic achievements and expressed his belief that Vietnam and its people would continue to reap greater achievements. Also on September 1st, Chairman Nguyen Sinh Hung co-chaired a panel discussion within the framework of the 4th World Conference of Speakers of Parliament. The top legislator told participants that Vietnam has successfully completed the Millennium Development Goals, particularly those relating to poverty reduction, and is working hard to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. The country is gradually restructuring its agriculture sector, building new rural areas, and facilitating economic development of ethnic minority groups, while proactively addressing issues involved with gender equality, income equality gaps, and social safety and order. He urged Parliament to accelerate the dissemination of information about the Sustainable Development Goals to their people, and set forth specific criteria to achieve efficient implementation. The same day, the Vietnamese National Assembly leader had a meeting with his Mongolian and Mozambican counterparts. Receiving chairman of the Mongolian Parliament, Zandaku and Kbold, he affirms that Vietnam treasures and wants to work with Mongolia to lift bilateral relations to a new height, in the interest of the people of the two nations. Chairman Kbold said Mongolia is willing to cooperate with Vietnam in implementing already signed agreements, and hopes to begin a political partnership with Asia, including Vietnam. While meeting Speaker of the Mozambican Parliament, Veronica Macamo, Chairman Hung urged the two countries to continue creating favorable conditions for their investors, maintain regular senior meetings and visits, and intensify close collaboration at regional and international forums, and on issues of mutual concern. Meanwhile, Macamo said the Mozambican Parliament hoped for the early signing of a cooperation agreement with the Vietnamese National Assembly, under which the two sides can share legislative and supervision experience.
Enterprises operating in the construction industry are showcasing their latest products at the Vietview International Exhibition 2015 in Ho Chi Minh City. Let's take a look. The exhibition, the second of its kind held in the city this year, draws the participation of 800 domestic and foreign companies, including those from Singapore, Taiwan, Sweden, Japan, Italy, France, Germany, Australia, and the Republic of Korea. On display at 2,300 booths are a wide range of new products and advanced technologies used in real estate, architecture, and interior and exterior decoration, including those for smart homes and electrical equipment. Conferences and business meetings will be held on the sidelines of the event. The exhibition will run until September 5th. Vietnam earned approximately $106.3 billion from exports in the past 8 months of 2015, up 9% from the same period last year. The General Statistics Office reported the domestic sector accounted for $31.7 billion of the total export value, an annual drop of 2.5%. The remaining majority of $74.6 billion belonged to the foreign invested sector, which represented a 14.7% rise from 2014. Major hard currency earners with increasing turnover included phones and building components, game and textiles, electronic devices, computers and components, and footwear. On the contrary, aquatic and rubber products as well as vehicles and spare parts experienced revenue declines between 7.1% and 16.6% compared to what they earned last year. In the 8-month period, the US and the EU were Vietnam's biggest importers, purchasing respectively more than $22 billion and $20 billion in goods, up nearly 20% and more than 12% year-on-year. Meanwhile, ASEAN and Japan reduced their imports from Vietnam by 3 to 5% to $12.3 billion and $9.3 billion respectively. On September the 1st, aircraft Boeing 7879 Dreamliner of the national flag carrier Vietnam Airlines landed at Heathrow Airport in London, marking its first international destination after joining the airline's fleet last month. Speaking at the welcome ceremony, Vietnamese ambassador to the UK Nguyễn Văn Thảo congratulated the airline for its breakthrough development this year, including the shift of its destination airport from Gatwick to Heathrow, one of the busiest airports in the world, and the use of the latest generation aircraft on routes from Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City to London. The ambassador stressed that the move indicates Vietnam Airlines' strongest commitment to the UK as it acts a bridge connecting the people of the two countries. With the use of aircraft Boeing 7879 Dreamliner, Vietnam Airlines became the first carrier in Southeast Asia to operate the latest generation plane of Boeing on routes from the region to Europe. Military Hospital 175 under the Vietnamese Ministry of Defense and the University of Sydney have reached an accord to train Vietnamese doctors in Australia. More details coming up next. A memorandum of understanding to this effect has been signed in Sydney by Associate Professor Nguyễn Hồng Sơn, Director of Hospital 175, and Professor Bruce Robinson, Chairman of the Học Mãi Forever Learning Foundation and Dean of Medical School under the University of Sydney. Speaking at the ceremony, Sơn said the hospital will send 8 doctors to the Sydney Medical School this year under a scholarship program of the Học Mãi Foundation. This is the first time a medical hospital having the largest group of doctors to receive the foundation's scholarships, he said. The 8-week program is open for young Vietnamese medical staff having a good command of English and aspiration to improve their professional skills. The foundation has been operating in Vietnam for nearly 20 years and played an increasing role in supporting and sending Vietnamese doctors to Australia for training. And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for joining us and goodbye for now.